Hello, YouTube. It's only 10:50 uh at night, and I'm already tired. But I think it would be nice while I lie down, getting ready to sleep, that I talk about Tenet. Now, I've seen this movie about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and it's been out for a month. Uh, and I wanted to talk about my thoughts on it. First of all, I think Christopher Nolan is unlike any director in which he likes to actually create things, scenarios that happen in its movies in real life, using practical effects instead of special effects. And I think that makes him very unique, especially when we can create anything in special effects these days. We can even bring back people who are dead. And I really appreciated that part of the movie. Another thing I appreciated was the physicality of the movie Tenet. Everything is so fast paced, everything is so energetic, and everything is so powerful. Whenever characters run down a hallway, whenever characters run towards anywhere, they sprint with like this insane energy. And I gotta give credit not only to the director, but also to the actors portraying this energy. They are just glowing, and every action scene is very intense, and you can really feel yourself kind of clench your fists as the action is happening. Uh, Next thing I wanted to talk about is the story of Tenet. Now, I think the story itself of Tenet is very compact, and I think Christopher Nolan did a good job of making this compact story, which is also very complicated, and trying to relay at least the compactness, the aspect of the story that wraps it all together, and try and convey that in the easiest way possible to the viewers. Now, I think that you don't need to understand the actual intricacies of time travel. Well, not time travel, inversion is what the film calls it, in order to understand and fully feel the impact of the story. I think you don't need to have that knowledge of how the universe works, but you can still feel those emotions of satisfaction, of catharsis, when the story ends because of how it unfolds and how it is told. And I think Christopher Nolan did a very good job of that. Now, regarding the story, however, I thought it's a 2 hour and a half long movie, but it doesn't feel like one. In fact, for me, it felt like two movies in one. The first part is more of a espionage spy movie with hints of really great action, and the second half was just full on almost science fiction. Tonally, those two movies didn't really match, even though I liked both portions pretty much equally. Um, but I felt like there was a lot of editorial and tonal differences between the first half and the second half. The second half of the movie was kind of slow in a way, but there was a lot of action, and the action didn't slow down, but there were fewer scenes in between. Uh, to rephrase that, I think there was a lot of small things going on in the first half of the movie, and it was really fast. It was like this scene, this scene, this scene, this scene, this scene, and it transitioned very quickly. Uh, Meanwhile, on the second half, we have these little big chunks that kind of intertwine together to make this action epic. And these two, I think, they were a little. It was a little hard for me uh, to focus, I guess, in the first half, because for some reason the actors I don't know who to fault for this, but I could rarely hear what was coming out of their mouths. Perhaps I can't hear them because their lines are not accentuated enough in the audio, or perhaps the dialogue itself from the script uh, is not very good. They don't convey the words and the meanings that they mean in the most compact way, in the most easiest way for people to understand. Not saying that it has to be all easy, but uh, I found it very hard to follow along what the characters were saying and what they meant for the characters, because the pace is so fast in the first half. It's really hard to keep up, and you have to spend a lot of mental energy trying to understand what's going on in the first half and how this all relates into the bigger course of the story. That was a little jarring. As for the movie itself, I think it's a must see in theaters. But if you're probably watching this, it's probably not on theaters. Uh, I think this film warrants an absolute must for a theater experience, just because of the visuals, just because of the audio sounds. I watched it in IMAX, and it was a pretty big screen. And it was pretty awesome. Uh, Other than that, let's see. I don't think that you need to you like I said, I don't think you need to understand the exact science or exact explanation of how all these things in the movie work. I think you can just simply enjoy the action that's unfolds. That's very unique, never seen before on film, and you can just enjoy that while taking the science fictiony aspects at face value. And that's what I did because I didn't want to spend my uh, I didn't want to use my head too much. Um, as for Inception, it's kind of different in that aspect. You can kind of enjoy Tenet without really understanding what's happening. Because of the spectacle, similar to Inception, but I think Inception is very much more involved in that story, and you gain a lot more just by understanding the story and following its pace and its explanations of how its functions work. Uh, Inception tried to explain. I think Christopher Nolan with Inception tried to spend more time trying to explaining the mechanics of the universe, while Tenet kind of glossed over it a little bit more. Maybe spend less time on the explanation of how it happens and show more of how it happens. And that was, I think, a more effective way to convey to the audience better cinematic experience. I don't think this movie is better than Inception. I don't know, actually. I think it's really good, but some aspects of the character's emotions I didn't really buy in. That aspect was a little not very convincing. I think this movie's main strength is the spectacle, it's the technology behind it, it's the behind scenes, it's the thought that went into the script, the thought that went into the camera, and the editing, and the actors, their performances. Robert Pattinson is really good in this movie. Uh, However, when it comes to the script in terms of story and emotion, I think it's a little bit lacking. Uh, Relative to other Christopher Nolan films. Well, that those are my thoughts on Tenet, and right now, if you can see here, I am reading this book. It's Speaker for the Dead by